Welcome, dear friends. We are thrilled to have you here with us today. Get ready to journey through one of the most heart-wrenching, powerful, and dramatic stories ever told in the Bible. This isn't just the tale of a prince, it's the story of a son who rose in rebellion, a father who wept in anguish, and a kingdom torn by betrayal. Today we uncover the life of Absalom, the handsome and charismatic son of King David, whose ambition led to one of the most tragic downfalls in Scripture. A tale of pain, pride, revenge, and the heartbreaking cost of disobedience. So sit tight and open your heart, as we walk through the shadows of loyalty lost and power corrupted. If you love stories that stir the soul and reveal deep biblical truths, be sure to subscribe and join us for more inspiring content every week. Let's begin the story of Absalom, the traitorous son who overthrew his father's throne. Kingdom Inspirations presents to you, Absalom, the son who betrayed his father, King David, and stole his throne. Shocking Bible story of rebellion. In this video we will explore one of the most tragic and shocking stories in the Bible, the rise and fall of Absalom, the son who betrayed his father, King David, and attempted to steal his throne. This story is filled with raw emotions, power struggles, and life-altering decisions. Here are the captivating things you will uncover in this powerful tale. 1. The deep betrayal that started it all. 2. How Absalom's calculated revenge changed the course of history. 3. The heartbreaking decision to send his father into exile. 4. The intense manipulation and charm that won the hearts of Israel. 5. The civil war that divided a kingdom and a family. 6. The tragic battle that sealed Absalom's fate. 7. The father's devastating sorrow after losing his son. This is more than just a story, it's a lesson in ambition, pride, and the cost of betrayal. Stick around and let's dive deep into this unforgettable journey. At the heart of this story lies a father's broken heart and a son's thirst for power. Absalom's betrayal raises the question: what happens when love, ambition, and revenge collide? Can a father's forgiveness mend the rift, or is the hunger for the throne too great to overcome? As David grapples with his loyalty to God and his son's rebellion, the kingdom teeters on the edge of destruction. The ultimate cost of pride is about to unfold. A kingdom once full of joy, now whispers of betrayal in every shadow. A son's heart, torn by vengeance, ignites a fire that cannot be quenched. The betrayal begins quietly, like a storm gathering on the horizon, but soon blood is spilled and the silence screams. A father's brokenness echoes through his halls, while the son dances in the shadows of power. The battle rages on, family, faith, and kingdom all caught in the grip of a tragic fate. A final, fateful moment lingers as all is lost in the dance of pride and sorrow. The mighty throne of Israel, built by King David's blood, sweat, and tears, is now on the brink of destruction, not from an enemy but from his own flesh and blood. Absalom, once a son of promise, becomes a man driven by betrayal and revenge, plotting in the shadows to take what was never his. With every step, he drags his father deeper into a web of deceit, forcing David to flee the very kingdom he fought so hard to build. As Absalom wins the hearts of the people, a nation is torn between loyalty and ambition, father and son. The battle for a throne isn't just fought with swords, but with the hearts of men. The echoes of war reverberate through the trees, and with it, the agonizing cry of a father who must let go of his son forever. In the end, the price of pride and betrayal is a kingdom lost, and a father's heart shattered. Now, let's dive deep into this heartbreaking journey, where love, betrayal, and ambition collide in the most tragic of ways. As we unfold the story, we will witness a son's descent into darkness, a kingdom on the brink of ruin, and a father's sorrow that echoes through eternity. Stay with us as we explore the choices that tore a family apart and reshaped the course of history. This is a tale you won't forget. Absalom was no ordinary prince. Born into royalty, with the blood of King David coursing through his veins, he was the shining star of Israel. His beauty was unmatched, his presence commanding attention, and his every step was a testament to the pride of his father's kingdom. Yet beneath his flawless exterior lay a soul fractured by betrayal and sorrow. The tragedy began with his sister Tamar, whose innocence was brutally torn away by Amnon, their half-brother. Tamar's suffering echoed throughout the palace, but what was even more crushing was David's silence. The king's failure to act left Tamar broken and Absalom, her protective brother, seething with rage. This injustice planted the seed of vengeance in Absalom's heart, a seed that would grow into a dark obsession. For 2 full years, Absalom bided his time, his hatred brewing quietly beneath the surface. He was patient, calculating every move, hiding his anger beneath a mask of charm and grace. But inside, his heart was consumed by the desire for revenge. A vengeance so deep, it would eventually lead him down a path of no return. The son, once beloved, was now a man with a hidden wound, ready to unleash the fury of betrayal on his own blood. Absalom's heart, shattered by the injustice done to his sister, yearned for retribution, and he would stop at nothing to ensure Amnon paid the price. He spent 2 long years weaving a web of deception and patience, waiting for the right moment to strike. Finally, that moment arrived, a feast to celebrate the king's sons. Absalom, ever the master manipulator, invited Amnon, masking his true intentions with a facade of hospitality. As the wine flowed and the revelry continued, Absalom's patience reached its breaking point. With a signal, his servants seized the opportunity, and in the blink of an eye, Amnon was dead, his blood spilled in vengeance for Tamar. The once beautiful son, now a silent executioner, stood over his brother's lifeless body, a sense of grim justice taking root in his heart. But justice came at a great cost. King David's heart broke at the news of Amnon's death. He wept for his lost son and for the kingdom torn apart by revenge. Absalom, now a fugitive, fled to Geshur, seeking refuge. Yet in the silence of his exile, the father and son were separated by more than distance. They were torn apart by grief and the bitter taste of justice gone too far. After 3 years of exile, Absalom's return to Jerusalem was a journey of both hope and peril. Joab, King David's trusted commander, knew the pain of a father's broken heart and the weight of a son's actions. In a moment of calculated wisdom, Joab sought the help of the wise woman of Tekoa, whose words would soften David's heart and bring Absalom back home. But this was not a return to warmth and forgiveness, it was a cautious reconciliation at best. Absalom entered the gates of Jerusalem, but not to the embrace of his father. David, torn between justice and love, refused to see his son, and their relationship remained distant and fractured. Despite the years that had passed, the bond between them was irreparably strained. But Absalom's return was not marked by repentance. It was a dangerous charm that masked his deeper ambitions. His charisma was undeniable. His appeal to the people of Israel was magnetic. He won their hearts, speaking with promises of change and justice, and soon became the darling of Jerusalem. Was Absalom truly seeking reconciliation with his father? Or was his quest for validation masking a far darker desire for power and control, a throne that was never his by birthright? Absalom's return to Jerusalem was not just a homecoming, it was the first step in his calculated rise to power. He stood at the city gates, where the people of Israel gathered to seek judgment, and there he made his move. With the softest touch, he played the role of the humble prince, listening attentively to every plea and offering promises of justice. His words were carefully chosen, designed to make the people feel heard, while sowing the seeds of discontent against his father's reign. With each passing day, Absalom won the hearts of Israel, his charm becoming an insidious force that slowly turned the people against King David. What seemed like simple compassion masked a deeper ambition, the throne. Absalom's manipulation was subtle, but it was effective, and soon the people were singing his praises, eager to crown him as their new king. The moment of betrayal came when Absalom declared himself king in Hebron, an open challenge to his father's rule. The echoes of his declaration reverberated through the land, leaving David in shock and sorrow. In that instant, David knew his son had become his enemy. Forced to flee for his life, he left Jerusalem, a broken king torn by the anguish of losing his throne and his son. What began as a son's betrayal quickly escalated into a civil war that threatened to tear the very fabric of Israel apart. On one side stood David's loyalists, a group of fierce warriors, counselors, and friends who had stood by his side through thick and thin. On the other, Absalom's uprising, fueled by his ambitions, charisma, and the support of those who now saw him as their king. But this was no ordinary war, it was a family divided, a father forced to confront the bitter reality that the son he had raised and loved had turned against him. Each battle fought between David's men and Absalom's forces felt like a wound to a father's heart. The pain of betrayal was not just political, it was deeply personal. Behind the scenes, spies worked to gain information, while counselors shifted allegiances, often deciding the fate of the kingdom with their whispers. But the divine disruption came when Hushai, loyal to David, deceived Absalom's counsel, turning the tide in favor of David's loyalists. The stage was set for a final showdown, a battle that would decide the fate of a kingdom, a father, and a son. The cries of war echoed through the forest of Ephraim, where fate would script the tragic end of a son's ambition and a father's heartbreak. The armies clashed beneath the thick canopies of ancient trees, the very terrain swallowing Absalom's advantage. What had begun with confidence and pride soon unraveled in confusion and chaos. Nature itself seemed to turn against the young rebel prince. In a twist drenched in poetic justice, Absalom, riding fiercely through the forest, was caught by his own glory. His thick, flowing hair, once a symbol of beauty and pride, became his noose, entangling him in an oak tree. There he hung, suspended between heaven and earth, helpless and exposed, neither alive nor truly dead. Though King David had pleaded with his commanders, especially Joab, to deal gently with the young man Absalom, Joab showed no mercy. Driven by duty and war's harsh reality, Joab thrust 3 javelins into Absalom's heart, silencing the rebellion, but also the sun. When the trumpet sounded, the battle ceased. The rebellion was crushed. But in its place rose a wave of grief, heavy and unforgettable. Victory had come, not as a crown, but as a broken father's cry echoing through the trees, "Oh Absalom, my son, my son." The trumpet of triumph had barely faded when a darker sound rose, the weeping of a father. News of Absalom's death was delivered to David not as a victory report, but as a dagger to the heart. He didn't hear of a defeated enemy. He heard of a lost son, his beautiful, gifted, broken child. David withdrew from the celebration of conquest, and in the privacy of his chamber, grief overwhelmed royalty. His cry tore through the palace, through the ranks of soldiers, through time itself. "Oh Absalom, my son, my son. Would God I had died for thee." It was not the cry of a king, it was the raw, guttural cry of a father mourning the irreversible. This was no fairy tale ending. It was a reminder that pride destroys, that betrayal wounds deepest when it comes from those we love, and that even the mighty bleed when love is lost. Absalom's ambition left a legacy of division, and David's house bore the scars of silence, mistakes, and mercy withheld too long. Yet in that cry there was a lesson for us all. Love, even when betrayed, still weeps. And mercy, though delayed, remains the only path to healing. The story of Absalom and King David is more than history, it is a mirror reflecting the fragile depths of the human heart. If this touched you, let it move you to reflect, forgive, and grow. We're truly honored to have you with us. Reflective questions. 1. What lesson stood out to you the most from Absalom and David's tragic story? 2. How do you think things might have turned out differently if mercy had been shown earlier? 3. What warning or wisdom does this story offer for today's families and leaders? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reflect and comment below. We genuinely want to read what you think. Drop your answers in the comments. We're reading and replying. Thank you for journeying with us through this soul-stirring tale of love, betrayal, grief, and redemption. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more captivating biblical revelations that speak straight to the soul. See you in the next video.